Am I the a-hole for not wanting my dad to walk me down the aisle because he's in a wheelchair? About 3 years ago my dad was injured in a really bad hit and run car accident. He broke just about every bone in his body and left him paralyzed from the waist down. Our relationship has always been really good, but I hate seeing him in pain and admittedly try to avoid seeing him because it just makes me uncomfortable. In November I'm getting married. I've been with my fiance for 4 years and he and my dad get on really well. Naturally the discussion of who was going to give me away came up in the family group chat, and I kept silent after I realized my dad would be in a wheelchair. We always talked about him giving me away and having a dance at my wedding, and I don't want to be reminded of what could have been at my wedding. I messaged my mom privately and told her I want my uncle to walk me down the aisle as we're incredibly close. She naturally asked why, and I told her that my dad being in a wheelchair would add complications to the wedding. The walkway would have to be widened to accommodate his wheelchair and he wouldn't be able to hold my arm or give me a proper hug. She was outraged, called me an ableist pose and removed me from the group chat. My aunt has since called me telling me my dad is absolutely devastated. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. Oh my god, you're the a-hole. What the duck is wrong with you? You sound like a completely cold narcissist. Let's just start with this right here. You admittedly try to avoid seeing him because it just makes me uncomfortable. What the duck? You're supposed to be there for the people you love, to be supportive and help them however you can. And here you are avoiding him at a time he needs more support than ever before because it makes you uncomfortable. Whoa. Cold, heartless, selfish. And yes, you are absolutely an a-hole for not wanting him to walk you down the aisle because he's in a wheelchair. Shallow. You care more about how it will look than you do about how you're making your dad feel. Extremely cold. It's not about how it looks, but here's an eye-opener for you on how it will really look if you have your uncle walk you down the aisle instead of your dad because he's in a wheelchair. It will look like you are the coldest, most shallow and selfish person on the planet. People will see what you did and how you so coldly devastated your dad and will definitely think you are an a-hole through and through. If you stand your ground on this and continue down this path, don't be surprised if you find yourself alone on your wedding day with no one in your family showing up for you. And you will probably continue on through life that way, because who wants to be there for someone who is such an a-hole to those she is supposed to love? You're the a-hole. This is a disgusting post. Holy shit. You're the a-hole. My father was paralyzed from the waist down and was in a wheelchair. He died 10 months before my wedding. I would give anything to have him walk me down the aisle. For duck's sake, you are such an a-hole. You're the a-hole. Your mom is absolutely right about you. This prejudice is such a bad look. I promise no one will be thinking how nice your uncle looks standing upright. In my opinion, there are 2 levels of disability. There are the actual physical limitations, which are not stopping your dad from doing what he wants to do. Then there is the imposed social identity of disability, where other people and systems put boundaries in place based on their perceptions of their limitations or worthiness. If you avoid a person with a disability because seeing them makes you uncomfortable, and you deny them a cultural tradition you would happily allow them if they weren't disabled, and you actively imagine what could have been if they weren't disabled, and you would rather have a full able-bodied person for your wedding aesthetic and photos rather than your loving parent, then yes, you are an ableist and you're the a-hole. Also, walking someone down the aisle is a figure of speech. You don't need to put walking in quotations. We get it. He's in a wheelchair. You're the a-hole. My dad is disabled. He is not a wheelchair user, but his mobility is severely impaired. I got married 2 years ago and he walked me down the aisle, and we had a father-daughter dance. I can understand having some unresolved feelings about your dad's disability. I struggle with it as well. But he is still my dad, and as his only daughter I would never have dreamed to take that opportunity away from him. He's had enough opportunities taken away. Even if this was your thought process, you should have said you wanted to walk yourself, not pass it on to the next able-bodied male figure in your life. I can't even imagine how hurtful that was to your father. It's a life-changing thing for you as well. And if you are this uneasy with it, you should consider seeking therapy to work through it. You're the a-hole. Would expanding the aisle really be that big of a burden? And you can still dance and do everything you'd like. It would just be with him in a wheelchair. My heart breaks for your father. You're the a-hole. Whoa. You refuse to let your own father walk you down the aisle just because it might inconvenience you and your perfect wedding. You do realize this could negatively impact your relationship with your dad forever, right? Most importantly, you do realize this could have a very negative impact on your dad forever. And way to add this mental trauma on top of what he already has to face. You're the a-hole. You're the a-hole. He's your dad. Be happy that you even have one who legitimately cares for you. Listen to yourself, worried about the aesthetics of it all and sulking about what could have been. I've read some posts from some self-absorbed people in my life, but damn, yours takes the cake. You sound like you need to read up on what ableism is. Maybe then you can improve your shitty outlook on life. I'm surprised anyone wants to marry you. Your fiancé should run as fast as possible in the opposite direction from you. Not only are you the a-hole in this situation, I'd wager that you're also just a horrible person in general. Whoa. Holy duck. You're the a-hole. You think you're the victim here? Not the one who will never walk again and whose daughter refuses to see him because of something he can't control? The one who has to watch someone else walk his daughter down the aisle because she can't be bothered to make it wider to accommodate him, making him feel like his mere existence is an inconvenience to her? You're the a-hole. I'm utterly disgusted by you. Your dad did nothing wrong to you. Did you ever think his pain would become worse by avoiding him? And your reasoning not to walk him down are ridiculous. You can't even show ducking love to him. Your dad may be on a wheelchair, but you have no leg to stand. Oh. Fun, cute idea. Father Princess carry you down the aisle on a motorized wheelchair. So cute. My friend sat on her father's lap while he was driving her down the aisle with his electric wheelchair. It was so emotional and an unforgettable moment. Almost everyone shed a tear or two, especially because the father also suffered from a head injury which resulted in a mild mental retardation. But unlike OP, the bride wasn't an a-hole. You're the a-hole. I went to a wedding once where the dad was in a wheelchair. They put some flowers on it and made it look nice. She held his hand as they went down the aisle, and he beamed like the proud father he was. He was sick and died not long after that. I'm sure that bride was so grateful her dad could even be there for her. I hope your family boycotts the wedding, honestly. If you became disabled before your wedding, would you be okay to cancel the event because your soon-to-be husband doesn't feel comfortable to have you there and just make the civil wedding? Hello, empathy. Did you ever hear this? Huge a-hole, and be ready to apologize in person to your dad whether you want to save your relationship with your immediate family. Go do it now. You're the a-hole. Hope you didn't cheap out on your photographer, cause they are going to have to perform a miracle to hide that your side of the aisle is going to be empty of all the mean and cruel things to do to a person who loves you. Hope the pictures are worth the hurt you caused your father. I refuse to believe this is real. So I really hate seeing a ton of posts of people claiming that the post has to be from a troll, but I just can't believe that this is real. I might believe it if you said something like, I know I'm an R for this but I'm doing it anyway, because some people are just the self-centered. But saying all of this and feeling justified just seems so unfathomable to me. If this fake, then you're the a-hole for bringing up some really painful feelings to those that lost their very loved family members. If this is real, then you're the a-hole for being such a self-centered daughter, and I feel sorry for you and everyone that knows you. Either way, I hope you get some counseling to learn sympathy and empathy so that you don't destroy the people around you. You're the a-hole. You ditched your dad when he needed you most because it was inconvenient for you. Your pain? What about his pain? Being up in a wheelchair and then his daughter avoids him because he's in a wheelchair and now doesn't want him to walk her down the aisle. I truly hope your fiancé wises up before the wedding. God forbid anything should put him in a wheelchair. You're the a-hole. One of the biggest I've seen. Did you honestly think that you would get sympathy from posting this? Your life hasn't changed. Your poor father's, however, has. Forever. I'm sure given his accident he has lost a lot of normality in his life, and this would be one normal thing for him, and you can't even give him that. What a shallow idiot you are. Would be interested to know your fiancé's thoughts on this. Update from original poster. I appreciate all the people who have messaged me offering me support. Your kind words have meant a lot to me whilst rifling through a bunch of messages telling me to do horrible things to myself. Regardless of what you think of me, telling me these things isn't okay. I'm going to call my dad tomorrow. Update 2. Can people please stop messaging me such horrendous stuff? Think about what you're saying. You may not agree with me or my life, but you're just as bad as I apparently am if you're going round saying stuff like that to strangers on the internet. Update. Not that I owe it to anyone, but I thought I'd give you all an update. My boyfriend and I have decided to part ways and I've apologized to my dad.